My mother forcefully pressed my autistic brother's face into his meal for fixating on her key. When I pleaded with her to stop, she yelled, "You want it. You think you're worthy of gazing at what's mine." I recently uncovered the key's secret. I wish I'd never been curious. My mother always wore a brass key on a cord around her neck, a key she claimed would one day save us. But before that, it nearly destroyed us. She never removed it, not in the shower, not while sleeping. The leather strap had etched a permanent groove into her skin after 13 years of constant wear. In our home, one rule reigns supreme: no one touches the key. At 6, I asked what it unlocked. She held my hand over a lit stove until my skin bubbled and peeled. After that, I learned to avert my eyes when she bent forward. But Charlie, my 8-year-old autistic brother, couldn't follow rules like that. She caught him staring at it during supper. His eyes tracked its swing as she reached for the pepper. Her expression darkened. She seized his chin and smashed his face into the table. The sound reverberated through the kitchen. Blood mixed with his mashed potatoes as she slammed him down again. "You want it?" she shrieked. "You think you're entitled to stare at what's mine?" The hospital doctor accepted her story of a bike accident. They always believed her. Charlie returned with his jaw wired shut, but she forced him to write sentences with his fractured fingers. Punishments in our house were precise. Scorching spoons pressed against our skin for speaking out of turn. Bleach poured into bathwater for sinful thoughts. Standing on one leg in a corner for hours if we breathed too loudly. She'd touch the key before each punishment, as if seeking its approval. By 14, I'd checked every lock in the house. The key matched none of them, not the cellar door, not her jewelry case, not the desk drawer. Charlie guessed it opened a bank vault. I wondered if it was from her old family home. We shared theories in hushed tones at night when the house was still. The abuse worsened as we aged. She'd make us kneel on grains of rice for hours. Shove soap bars in our mouths until we vomited. Lock us in the basement freezer for brief bursts, long enough to hurt, short enough to avoid lasting marks. She was clever like that. One night, she kept Charlie awake for 3 days straight, spraying him with freezing water whenever his eyes drooped. I heard his sobs through the walls as she laughed. Something inside me broke. We had to escape or we'd die there. That's when I began planning. I took a job at a fast food joint and stashed cash in a tissue box under my bed. I researched shelters in other states, but my earnings couldn't cover 2 bus tickets, food, and lodging. We needed more money. I found the floorboard by chance. She was at her weekly church group, and I was sneaking her sleeping pills to help Charlie sleep. My foot caught a loose plank in her closet. Beneath it was a keyhole. She always knew everything. I woke up bound in the basement, a week down there with only water and moldy bread. When she finally released me, she was smiling. "Curiosity wastes time," she said. "Remember that." 6 months later, she declared Charlie too broken to keep. She claimed she'd found a special center upstate to fix him. I overheard her phone call about unmarked burial sites. I knew there was no center. That's when I activated my plan. Every Friday, she drank heavily after punishing us. I'd been collecting her sleeping pills for months, grinding them into powder. That Friday, I mixed 20 pills into her whiskey. She took ages to pass out. I sat on the steps, counting her breaths until they slowed and deepened. The key hung forward on its cord. I lifted it off her neck with agonizing care, taking 5 minutes to avoid waking her. Charlie stood guard while I ran to her room. The floorboard lifted easily. I turned the key, and the lock clicked. Inside was $30,000 in cash, our birth certificates with unfamiliar names, Adam and James Henley, not Charlie and Ryan O'Connor. Our real parents' death certificates. Crime scene photos of a car crash. 2 bodies in the front seats. At the bottom, adoption papers never submitted and our father's service pistol, a Glock 19 with a full magazine. She wasn't our mother. She was our father's sister. She'd killed them both and taken us, along with the survivor benefits. 9 years of checks meant for us. I stared at the gun, tempted to end her as she'd ended them. But we weren't like her. I took the cash and our true documents, leaving the gun as evidence for whoever found it. We boarded a bus to Seattle at 3 a.m. and never saw her again. Until a month later, when police knocked on our door. It wasn't her. She'd used the gun to end her life, leaving a note blaming Charlie and me. The officers stood in our doorway, holding papers with names we hadn't heard in 13 years, Adam and James Henley. Charlie rocked in the corner of our tiny Seattle apartment, sensing danger as he always did, his fingers tapping a rhythm of fear. The taller officer cleared his throat and mentioned the woman's suicide note. Charlie began humming Our Real Mother's Lullaby, a song from before everything broke. The officers exchanged a look at this authentic detail, something they couldn't have known unless we were truly who the documents claimed. My panicked words slipped out. She actually found our birth certificates. The question hung heavy, sparking their curiosity. What else might we be hiding if we'd gone to such lengths to vanish? Our neighbor burst out, frantic about a burglary at her place, demanding the police's attention. I had to choose: help her to seem cooperative or stay silent and appear guilty. Charlie whispered from his corner, "She's watching." I positioned myself between him and the officers as the shorter one unfolded the suicide note. He read it in a flat tone. "You stole everything from me." The woman's words, even secondhand, chilled me. Charlie's meltdown surged. He slammed his head against the wall, screaming without words. The officers stepped back, one reaching for his radio to call for backup and social services. 3 crises collided. Charlie's medication was running low, but the prescription was under our fake names. The police wanted us for questioning, and our landlord appeared, furious about noise complaints. I tackled the landlord first, showing our lease to prove we were legitimate tenants, but it listed O'Connor, not Henley. The officer's eyes narrowed, comparing the lease to his papers. "This says O'Connor," he noted, his sympathy fading. I admitted we used fake names, words spilling out in a rush. Explaining the abuse, the murders, the 13 years of torment without evidence felt impossible. Charlie, overwhelmed, recited our real birthdays and social security numbers he'd memorized from the stolen documents. To the officers, it sounded rehearsed, like I'd coached a vulnerable person for some scheme. Then I saw it in the evidence bag, the woman's jewelry, including our mother's wedding ring, its inscription visible through the plastic. The room tilted as I grasped this new cruelty. They separated us for questioning. Charlie screamed about the key as they led him away, his words making me seem like a manipulator who'd fed him lies. The key that defined our childhood was now evidence in her death. A social worker arrived, her tired eyes kind but weary. She needed medical records, but I explained the woman had destroyed everything from before we were 6, leaving only fake name records with 13 years of lies, doctor visits for injuries, her tales of us as violent, troubled children. My account of our escape sounded like the revenge fantasies in my therapy files. The woman had forced me to see her friend, a therapist who twisted my words. Now my truth sounded like a disturbed young man who'd drugged his mother and stolen from her. Her Facebook memorial page overflowed with praise. Devoted mother, selfless caregiver, taken too soon. Our absence was noted, heartless, cruel sons who didn't attend her funeral. Neighbors shared screenshots and rumors in online threads. I showed photos and recordings I'd kept, but the detective called them obsessive, suggesting premeditation. Her will, dated 2 years before her death, named us beneficiaries but required reconciliation therapy with her friend, the same therapist who documented my violent fantasies. I hadn't slept in days, stumbling over words. I misspoke, saying when we called instead of when she killed herself. The detective's pen scratched furiously. Charlie's autism advocate arrived, swayed by the woman's friend's emails about our violence. She saw Charlie as my victim, not hers. The bodega camera caught us the day after her death, smiling and relieved. Charlie flapped happily. The footage spread as proof of our callousness. The woman's brother, our uncle, appeared with guardianship papers for Charlie, calling himself family we'd never met. He quoted her favorite self-help book, her words living through him. He'd started dating my McDonald's boss, and I was fired for unreliability. He and I recalled the same Christmas differently, his with her baking cookies, mine with us locked in the basement. Her lies had warped both our realities. My old texts surfaced in his custody filing, angry messages about wanting her dead, planning to run. Taken out of context, they painted me as the disturbed son she'd claimed. Charlie's first visit with the uncle went too well. He spoke of the uncle's kindness, small gestures that felt like betrayals. Doorbell footage showed her crying on our doorstep, begging us to behave, staged after a punishment session, burns hidden under our clothes. Family court saw my abuse claims as parental alienation. My evidence became obsession, not survival. Her unsent memoir in her email drafts detailed raising disturbed boys, already optioned by an agent. Library records showed her researching narcissistic children, building her case against us. My old therapist's records, subpoenaed, twisted my anger into violent fantasies. The uncle's signal jamming device killed my phone as I tried to record his threats. Charlie's medication required the uncle's signature, eroding his independence. The woman's nurse friend, who'd seen our injuries, chose retirement over testifying. The uncle posted photos wearing our father's watch, our mother's cologne in the background, trophies of the dead. He offered to drop the case if I admitted she was a good mother and apologized for her death. My refusal was framed as neglecting Charlie's needs. I learned she'd killed our parents the day after our father filed for divorce, not in a random crash. She documented fake bruises for years, building evidence against us. Our grandmother, in a nursing home, believed her daughter over us, her dementia diagnosis sealing her testimony's fate. Photographing Charlie's meltdowns to prove the uncle's harm felt like betraying him. Each click killed the brother I'd been. At a coffee shop, I overheard the woman's lawyer's strategy sessions. I downloaded her cloud storage, emails, photos, documents, before the uncle locked me out. A biological daughter from foster care emerged, claiming our benefits. Legal fees drained our cash while the uncle used her accounts freely. A public outburst at her grave, where I confirmed her death, became another strike against me. Living in my car became normal as the uncle moved Charlie into her house during visits. The teacher who missed our abuse signs was suspended, her family blaming me. The public defender asked if we were as damaged as she'd claimed, planting doubt. Admitting to drugging her to access, the floorboard turned survival into a crime. Our father's journal revealed his fear of her and our mother, questioning his choices under her manipulation. The uncle genuinely believed she'd saved us from violent parents, built on her lies. Recording Charlie's meltdowns broke my promises to him. Manipulating the uncle's daughter for his phone felt like her tactics. She'd admitted her instability in texts, a small victory. Charlie asked if the uncle could visit, and we cried together in the courthouse bathroom, trapped by a system meant to protect us. The uncle's claim gained ground, his stability outshone my homelessness. Her therapist's sealed records held the truth. Using the uncle's daughter felt too much like her. The community split, some defended her, others saw the truth. The judge prioritized stability over truth, noting Charlie's need for a home. I called our father's military unit, finding one soldier who confirmed his fears but wouldn't testify. In our father's storage locker, I found a cassette of her threatening our parents, planning their accident. I made copies, paranoid about losing it. At the final hearing, the courtroom buzzed with divided neighbors. The grief counselor admitted the woman's delusions about saving us. The judge ordered evaluations for all, sensing the depth of her influence. Her therapist's records revealed her delusional disorder, believing she was saving us from our father. The uncle's certainty crumbled with the recording, psychiatric holds, and her documented lies. He'd loved a sister who didn't exist. I chose not to prosecute him. Charlie needed family, not vengeance. The judge granted me custody, with the uncle getting supervised visits after treatment. The benefits returned to us, funding Charlie's therapy. Back in Seattle, the apartment felt lighter. The uncle's first visit showed his commitment to change. At our parents' corrected graves, Charlie placed the key between them. "It opens the truth now," he said. The tarnished brass, once our cage, became a symbol of freedom. Justice wasn't revenge but acceptance. Evil could wear love's mask. Her twisted love had destroyed us, but we survived, reclaiming Adam and James, though Ryan and Charlie lived in our hearts. Some scars lingered, but we'd found our way back to who we were meant to be.